Welcome to Namoli Family Stadium. The NCAA South 2 Regional Final for Division II softball is upon us. The previous 2 days, we've had some great softball action, extra innings, pitching duels, offensive explosions. We've seen it all, and it all comes to the end right here at the Namoli Family Stadium. The Valdosta State Blazers will take on the Tampa Spartans in their second match of the tournament. Back on day 2, these two teams faced off in the winner's bracket. The Blazers were able to advance to this game with a 5-4 win. The Spartans lost and had to get past the Rollins Tars in the loser's bracket and did so with a 9-5 win to get a chance at a rematch today. If the Blazers defeat the Spartans here, they will be headed to the NCAA Super Regional. If Tampa wins here, we'll be playing again at 4, and a winner goes to the next round match. Winner take all, loser goes home. So we could be set for a long or relatively short day for softball. It all depends on how Game 1 here goes. I'm Taylor Storthy alongside Bruce Wozniak here at the NCAA South 2 Regional.
And it's a beautiful day for softball, 85 degrees. And these two teams going at it once again, as you mentioned. And this time the Spartans will be the home team. We saw yesterday that due to a coin toss, they were actually the visitor. And UT playing on their home field in the home position for this game. And we'll take a look now at the starting lineup for Valdosta State, since they will be batting first. And pitching for UT will be Mary Beth Feldman, and you see there leading off for Valdosta State, the leadoff hitter will be
Morgan Hill in right field, number 21, taking some warm-up swings to get ready for the Blazers. Second, the strong shortstop who's had a good time fielding and hitting during the tournament. It's in the name of Nikki Pennington. Third, Allie Clegg. Some good defensive plays at third base, and also carries a powerful bat that is looking to clear the shortened fence at Namoli Family Stadium. Up fourth, Aniston Gano, who plays at first. Katie Proctor, the second base player, in fifth. Taylor Macera, second base at sixth, followed by Taylor Lewis at catcher in seventh. Bailey Everson in eighth, and we have Hunter Meadows batting in the ninth spot in the outfield. That first pitch is going to be dropped by Chevalier and outside for ball one. So as you mentioned, Bruce, Mary Beth Feldman in the circle for the start today. Feldman came in relief in the previous 2 games, pitched a lengthy stint against Valdosta State in the Spartans' loss, but also closed out a win against the Rollins Tars in the loser's bracket. Feldman, since heading to Tampa from the University of Utah, absolutely electric stuff all season, a sub .5 ERA, and notably had a perfect game at Namoli Family Stadium earlier. 2-0 now. That one is inside for strike one.
And these two teams' won-loss records are practically identical. Tampa comes in at 37-12, and Valdosta 36-11. And Feldman ready now with the 2-1.
That one a little bit low. Chevalier gets it, but the count goes to 3-1. Hill looking to draw an opening walk. The 3-1, ready and fires. That one's going to be ball 4. So Hill gets the game started for Valdosta State with a walk. And even though these two teams have had some great pitchers, last time they faced, it was a bit of an offensive showdown as we saw a little bit of action early on. 3 runs scored from the Spartans and 1 run in the first inning from the Blazers. The Blazers would then score a little bit later on and take the lead, which they would ultimately hold on to for the rest of the game. Now Pennington, runner on, first pitch taken, strike one.
And we've talked about the fact that the Spartans are not a team that's built on offense, especially not here at home. And it's usually their pitching and their defense, so it's unusual to see Mary Beth Feldman issue a leadoff walk. Just like it was very unusual to see the last couple days starting pitchers get relieved early for the Spartans. I'm talking about Mariah Galehouse starting and having to be relieved by Feldman and vice versa. And so Feldman will like to shake off that initial walk as she works here now against Nikki Pennington.
Feldman, a good job to get ahead in the count here, 1-2. And indeed, Bruce, Tampa Spartans pitchers have actually hit some bumps in the road early on and have needed relief since very early in every game except the one against Rollins. Keister gets under it for the first out of the inning. That fly ball didn't have enough distance to even clear the shortened fence. Of course, if you're a Tampa regular, you will know that the walls are pretty far out, generally 230 around every single dimension, but for NCAA tournament play, the temporary fence has brought the levels to actually 190, 220 at center, and 190 at right. So runner on with one out now for Clegg. That one's going to be a fly to right. Galehouse can't make the diving play. Picked up by Keister, so runners now at first and second with one out. Good try by Galehouse, but good job by Russo and Keister to make sure the ball didn't bounce too far away after the miss.
So the 1 and 3 hitters get on base, and that brings up the cleanup hitter Aniston Gano, who's hitting .321, 10 home runs, 36 RBI, has played in all 47 of the Blazers games in 2022.
10 home runs would certainly be making a player a top slugger in most other sides so far in the South Regional, as that one goes foul. But Valdosta State has two other power bats in Pennington and Clegg with 14 home runs each. So you can just tell how strong this team is at the plate, and a reason why they have gone 2-0 so far in the regional bracket. Now, the 0-1 after that foul ball. Feldman ready and fires from the circle. That one's outside. Count goes 1-1.
And whether it comes to the strike zone, whether it comes to a ball being fair or foul, or whether it comes to a defensive player making a play or not, this really is a game of inches, and you saw it with Galehouse and the attempt to make the catch in right field that she was unsuccessful, and even that foul ball that was hit down the left field line, catching those two could have made a big difference here. Instead, UT sees the Blazers with runners on first and second and only one out.
Now here's the 2-1. That one's going to be sent far. Looks like this will be playable, though. And Keister makes it. Runner trying to get to third, but gets back to second. It almost looked like Hill would have been caught out, but Ballmer picks it up, and Hill was back in time to avoid a tag.
Yeah,
two outs now.
There's another example there of a game of inches, but at the same time, you really want to credit Lily Keister for the good throw there, and Ballmer almost able to catch Hill off guard, and Hill got back just in time to stay safe at second.
First pitch taken by Proctor. And indeed, we've seen Keister be a great defensive presence in center field for the Spartans all season. Her, Fantone, and Galehouse not only are relatively consistent at the plate, forming the 1-2-3 bats in the order for the Spartans, they also have had a great success in the field. Fantone with excellent range to track down fly balls, and Keister with a cannon of an arm that's been able to gun down runners trying to get to home. Here's the 2-0 now to Proctor. That one, ball 3, just a little bit outside.
Proctor, very dangerous, .346 hitter. She's played in 42 of her team's 47 games this year, 7 home runs, 35 RBI.
Feltman ready. Here's the 3-0. And ball 4. Bases are loaded with 2 outs. Not too dissimilar from situations we've seen earlier in the tournament. And I believe this actually also happened the last time out for the Spartans and Blazers when they faced off. So now, Macera has a chance to try to get some runs home and to keep the inning alive, while Feldman would look to retire the side and strand all 3 of the Blazer runners.
Taylor Macera has played in all 47 of Valdosta State's games, has a .293 average, 4 home runs, 30 RBI, and a big opportunity for her here in the top of the first inning. The bases loaded and 2 outs.
So the 0-1 now to Macera. Feldman ready, fires. That one's popped backward. The count goes to 0-2. You might notice that a lot of the other players will occasionally check wrists, check the dugout for signs and stuff. But Tampa, generally throughout the season, has not. Feldman, Galehouse, and Miner, the key pitching trio, mainly just go and keep the pace of play relatively quick. Now here's the 0-2 from Feldman. That one's going to be lined. Gets past Emily Jansen. Goes to the outfield. Run scores. Second run coming home. Valdosta State leads. And that is going to allow Macera to get to second. And disappointing, even though Emily Jansen, the tallest player on the field for the Spartans, not able to reach that little fly ball, drops into the outfield. Valdosta State is able to take a 2-0 lead in the first inning.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Again, a game of inches. I say for probably the third time already, and you saw it there. The Spartans just not able to get to that one, and so Valdosta State takes the early lead.
So Lewis ready to go with 2 outs. Runners now on second and third. Swing and a miss for strike 1. Two runners on in scoring position. The 0-1 fouled away. Count goes to 0-2 again. 2. It's still a 2-0 Spartans lead. Feldman ready. That one just outside. Ball 1. Could have ended the inning.
Lewis hitting .252 this season. Has played in all 47 games, started all but one of them.
That one's going to be taken high. Ball 2. So 2's all around the board. You have a 2-2 count, 2 outs. And so far in 2 hits, the Blazers have taken a 2-run lead. Blazers were able to score 1 run in the first inning in their last match against the Spartans, and now have doubled the effort here. And they get more. Feldman, the pitch. That one's flown to center. Keister under it and makes the catch. The inning is over, but not before the Blazers score 2 runs on 2 hits and no errors. They'll lead 2-0. The Spartans will have a chance to come back in the bottom half of the first, but they take the lead in the regional final. We'll be back for more NCAA softball on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network. So we are back into Moley Family Stadium as we get ready for the bottom half of the first inning. We'll take the time to tell you the Tampa Spartans lineup for this regional final. Leading off for the Spartans in left field, Lauren Fantone. In center field, batting second, Lily Keister. Batting third in right field, Mariah Galehouse. Batting fourth at third base, Corinne Miner. At second base, Alexa Russo batting fifth. Lexi Chevalier, the catcher, batting sixth. Emily Jansen, the first base player, batting 7th, Stephanie Ballmer at shortstop, batting 8th, and Mackenzie Allen is the designated player in batting 9th. Notably as well, when Galehouse comes in to pitch, we normally see Allen in right field, so if that relieving change is made later in the game, expect Allen to go to right field and Galehouse to get in the circle. For now, we're ready to go. In the circle, the NCAA D2 CCA Pitcher of the Year, Samantha Richards, 2-0 so far, complete with a complete game shutout in Game 1 of the South Regional. One of the best pitchers in the nation, 281 strikeouts over 200-plus innings. So definitely a tough pitcher for the Spartans to go up against.
And Samantha Richards says her talent has been on display for a couple days here now, and the Spartans know that they have a tall order facing her this afternoon if they want to force a game later today at 4 o'clock.
Spartans were able to get 4 runs past her in a complete game outing the previous time they faced, but the only difference was the Spartans pitching staff also had a few hiccups, which led to a 5-4 loss. The 2-0 now to Fantone. Squares up for a bunt, pulls away. Count goes to 3-0. So a great job by the Spartans leadoff hitter to get ahead in the count.
Lily Keister in the on-deck circle, watching her teammate getting ready for the 3-0 pitch from Samantha Richards.
And ball 4. So a great job by Fantone to get on base early, and Keister now is the runner on.
And Lauren Fantone has been very successful here these couple of days that we've been calling these games, Thursday, yesterday, and today, of leading off, reaching base in one way or another, and does it this time by way of a base on balls. And that brings up Lily Keister, the center fielder.
And there's a bunt. Richards tries to make the force at second, and they will get it. The sacrifice doesn't work, which has actually been a rarity for the Spartans. Throughout most of the season, the sacrifices have worked, but Valdosta plays that well. Richards throws it to short, is able to get to second and get Fantone out. One could argue Keister's the more dangerous runner, but either way, the runner's now still at first. Mariah Galehouse now with a runner on and 1 out. Richards with the call from the dugout, checking the wrist. The 0-0 now to Galehouse. That one's going to be taken high, ball 1.
And Mariah Galehouse well documented what she has done with the bat this season, and 301 batting average through 48 games.
1-0 to Galehouse. That one's going to be strike 1. Low and inside the zone. Richards gets it even.
And I'm sure the Blazers know that Galehouse is just as dangerous at the plate as she is from the pitching circle.
Let's have to see if Richards changes her approach or keeps going the way she does. There's a pop fly, and that is caught at first by Gano. 2 away for Corinne Miner, who steps up with 2 outs and a runner on.
So the Spartans with their cleanup hitter now, and Corinne Miner, always a threat every time she comes to the plate. She has played in all 49 games this season and has a .328 average, 3 home runs, 32 RBI.
Corinne would love to get another RBI here to spark the scoring for the Spartans. And even though it would be hard for many runners from first to get home, Keister does have the legs if the ball is hit deep enough to the outfield to go all the way. Here's the 1-0 now to Miner. That one's in the dirt. Keister, however, doesn't try to get to second. Count goes to 2-0. Miner gets ahead early.
But you saw Taylor Lewis with the quick recovery. She wanted to make sure that there was going to be no way that Keister was even going to think about going to second base. And so now Miner ahead in the count with 2 outs and that teammate over on first.
Here's the 2-0. Fouled away. Count goes to 2-1. As we've been mentioning, Bruce, the winner will go to the Super Regional, and depending on how Auburn-Montgomery does today, there is a chance for one of these two teams to host it. Auburn-Montgomery's looked really good, though, but we'll keep you posted about that other side of the South Regional bracket. For here, we'll see who can get to that Super Regional. Pop fly by Miner. Gano gets under it, and that'll end the inning. Spartans get nothing on a walk. No runs, no hits, and no errors. And Valdosta State maintains a 2-0 lead. It will be back for the top of the second. Due up is Everson.
College sports.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal, and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us and for college sports.
And we're back at Nemoli Family Stadium where the Spartans taking the field defensively, and Mary Beth Feldman looking to shake off a difficult first inning. She gave up 2 hits, gave up 2 runs, both earned, walked 2 batters, and her team unsuccessful offensively at the plate in the bottom of the first, so trailing 2-0 here as we start the top of the second.
And slow starts, metaphorically and physically, for the pitching staffs. There's a quick start here for this inning. Feldman makes the catch for the first out, and it has been a rarity to see the Spartans getting off to some early deficits and having some pitchers struggling so far, but maybe that could be a shot in the arm, as there was probably a little shot in the arm off the impact of the hit line drive into the glove for Feldman. Maybe that can help rejuvenate the Spartans' offense, which has been so far doing pretty well. The previous 2 games, they've put on a combined 13 runs, which has been a very good and active offense. Goes off of Miner's glove, goes all the way to Balmer. So, deflects off Miner. I think that's going to be scored a 5-6-3 ground out. Great reactions by Balmer to prevent that from getting past Miner too far and to even make the play happen. So on 2 pitches, there are now 2 outs.
Yeah, that was Bailey Everson that lined directly to the pitcher, and then we just saw Hunter Meadows with the ground out, and so now we're back to the top of the Valdosta State order, and this is Morgan Hill batting.
Last time up, Hill was able to draw a walk. And Hill has a chance to keep the inning alive here. A walk would do it, a hit would do it. Valdosta State just hoping they can keep their offensive run from the first inning continuing. It won't, as Keister is going to get under that line drive, and the inning is over. Galehouse only needs 4 pitches to get out of the inning. No hits and no runs and no errors. The Spartans are ready to go. Good job by Feldman one more time from the circle. And now up for the Spartans is someone who took it yard yesterday, Alexa Russo. We'll be back with more tournament softball after this.
Just another ordinary day at UT.
We are back at the University of Tampa's Nemoli Family Stadium. Currently, the Valdosta State Blazers lead 2-0 in the bottom of the second, but in the second inning, they were held scoreless. A good inning from the circle for Feldman, who caught a line drive and also forced 2 other balls in play that led to outs. Alexa Russo leads off for the Spartans here and takes the first pitch outside. Interesting fact about Russo so far is the only player to take the ball yard out of the normal Tampa Stadium and also here on the shortened fences for the NCAA tournament. That one's going to be fouled away.
Russo hitting in the number 5 spot. That means that we're going to see her, Lexi Chevalier, and Emily Jansen this inning. Russo, the second base player for UT.
Russo has a strong bat, known as a true slugger. Is always a crucial part of the Spartans' offense. Sometimes has some cold stretches, but when she's hot, she is nearly unstoppable at the plate and is the type of player that can generate offense quickly. Down 1-2 in the count here. Richards hoping to retire the dangerous bat to start the inning for the Blazers.
She's one of several local players on the roster, played her high school ball at Tampa Catholic.
Richards readies and fires. Fouled away. Russo stays alive. Count stays 1-2. And so far, Richards, quick first inning. Only 12 pitches needed from the circle. This at bat already at 4. Will probably need 5 to retire Russo at minimum. Potentially more. Here's the 1-2. Checks the dugout. Checks the wrist. That's going to be a line drive. It doesn't get to the gap after a great play by Hill to track it down, but it does take a few bounces before then. So the Spartans get their first base hit of the game as Russo gets on with a single.
And we saw the same thing in the first inning, meaning the Spartans putting their leadoff hitter aboard. It was a walk to Lauren Fantone, and so this time a base hit. And it brings up catcher Lexi Chevalier. And Chevalier in 2022 is hitting .264. Chevalier has played in all 49 of UT's games, 1 home run, 18 RBI, and we have a pinch runner for Alexa Russo.
Devin Hammond's going to come in at first base now, obviously wanting a little more speed on the base paths to try to cut this deficit down. Tampa has quite a few at-bats, as you would call them, Bruce, to go, but if you can get started in cutting a 2-run deficit early, that definitely helps your chances. We'll have to see what Lexi Chevalier does. The infield comes in a little bit further, watching for the sacrifice bunt. Chevalier tries to drop it down. A diving catch by Gano for the first out. What a play.
Yeah, that was a nice play there defensively, and it reminded me of one that we saw in the outfield where the ball was played from the glove down instead of the palm up and resulted in a miss, and this time a nice squeeze of the glove to make the out. And so that brings up Emily Jansen now with 1 out and, of course, still the runner on first.
Great play there by Gano, and now it alleviates a little bit of the pressure for the Blazers, but there still is a runner on first base, and Emily Jansen now at the plate. The first base player for the Spartans was a few inches away from a fly ball, well, more of a blooper that got into the outfield to bring home both the Blazers' runs. And it's a little bit disappointing, but think about it, there's nothing Emily Jansen could have done, and honestly, I don't think any other player could have, because Jansen is the tallest player for the Spartans, and also taller than everyone except for Savannah Barfield on the Valdosta State Blazers. So here's the 1-1 now to Emily Jansen. That one's going to be taken inside for ball 2.
Jansen hitting 190 this season, one of a handful of players that's played in all 49 of the Spartans games in 2022. And waits the 2-1 from Samantha Richards.
Note Pennington and Massera, they're playing relatively close to second base. Here's another attempt at a sacrifice bunt. That one, though, goes foul. The count goes to 2-2. But obviously, Valdosta State looking to play aggressively to cover second to try to get the leadoff runner out. They know that's a key part of the Spartans' game plan. We'll have to see now how Jansen deals with the 2-2 count. Runner on, 1 out. The 2-2. Fouled away. So Emily Jansen, a good job to stay alive early. But Richards also doing a good job of keeping the Spartans quiet for now. Spartans, of course, playing to keep their season alive. Valdosta State does have one lifeline, because if they lose, they only have to play one more game at 4. The 2-2. That's going to be fouled away.
Good nonetheless, though, to see Emily Jansen going deep into the count here and staying alive. Obviously, the Spartans need to take advantage of the runner on first base, the pinch runner Devin Hammonds, move her up, cut into this early 2-0 deficit.
So Emily Jansen was caught off guard on the changeup right there. Here's now the 2-2. There we go. It's going to be a line drive similar to the single that brought a run home in the first inning. And Hammonds will be kept at second. A good throw at right field from Hill to make sure the runner didn't advance. 2 runners on with 1 out at runners at first and second. And now we're going to see Stephanie Ballmer batting in the 8 spot, getting ready to go.
And Jansen was rewarded for her perseverance there in that at-bat that you saw her foul off several pitches and ends up coming through with a base hit. So UT now with runners on first and second.
Normally you'd want to talk about seeing to get a pitcher's count up early, but Richards probably will be able to go the entire game. She's had quite a bit of rest after yesterday's performance and has had over 200 innings, which means we know that she can go the distance in a majority of the games. That one's going to be taken outside for ball 1, and Ballmer will start to get ahead. The Spartans sophomore has done a great job at short all season, making some great defensive plays. We saw one earlier when she caught a deflected ball from Minor to get the out. That one's going to be taken, but in the zone for strike 1.
It's interesting when you talk about what class someone is in. It's going to be a few years before you don't call someone a sophomore and somebody scratches their head and says, well, they're not really a sophomore with all this COVID stuff that happened and redshirting and everything and all the different terms that they put on it.
There's a line drive, and the Blazers can't turn 2. Now here comes Hammonds to third, and Hill just going to hold on to it. So a great catch there, third base by Clegg. The throwback to first to try to pick off Jansen is dropped. So Hammonds, who came back to tag up, gets to third. 2 outs and runners on the corners now. It was an unfortunate out, but turned out to be a productive one. So good news for the Spartans, and the Blazers will say, there's 2 outs, but kind of wish you still had runners at first and second rather than first and third.
Yes, Spartans assistant coach Denise Rubio was jumping up and down at first base and waving to signal Devin Hammonds to go to third. Jansen held it first, but as a result, UT that much closer now to getting that goose egg off the scoreboard. And, of course, there are 2 outs, but an opportunity now for UT to try to cut the deficit in half as Mackenzie Allen gets ready to bat here in the bottom of the second. And Mackenzie Allen, we've seen her with some clutch hitting over these last couple days. And on the season, Allen hitting .250. She's played in 33 games. And this is the number 9 hitter in the Spartans order.
Allen had a slightly quieter start to the season, but so far in the postseason has been on fire with the bat. And even though she's in the 9th spot here, still very dangerous. And with 2 outs, she's known to be able to get the base hits and run out ground balls. And that's the type of play that the Spartans would love to have to get on the scoreboard. That first pitch taken well in the dirt, ball 1.
So the 1-0 coming now with Jansen on first and Hammonds on third.
Now it's taken low and away, ball 2. On deck for the Spartans, Fantone, who drew a walk in her last at-bat. Fantone would love to get a chance this inning. Potentially bases loaded, potentially, with a runner already in. So Allen, ahead in the count, ready for the 2-0 from Richards. That one's going to be strike 1 in the outside corner. And a good command, as we've seen from Richards throughout the tournament, to paint that nicely. We saw Richards go up for that. Checks the wrist one more time. Here's the 2-1. That one's going to be low. Ball 3.
Allen looking like she's ready for a slap hit. Let's see what she does on this 3-1 here.
Allen, a great discipline to get a really good hitter's count, and has a pitch she could burn right here. We're going to see what Richards does, though. 3-1. Strike 2. That one was a little bit closer to the middle, but we've now got a full count, 2 runners on, and even though it's early, you imagine that this is going to be a pretty crucial at-bat for the Spartans. 2 runners in scoring position very well could be the difference, as these two teams were very close in their last meeting. 5-4. See what happens here. 3-2 now to Allen. Allen fouls that away and stays alive.
I was watching during that pitch, I was watching Spartans head coach Leslie Cantor and how animated she is over towards first base. Obviously both to the runner Emily Jansen as well as to one of her assistant coaches, Denise Rubio.
3-2. Richards ready to go. Allen ready to go. And ball 4. So Allen works to walk. The bases are now loaded with 2 outs. When the Blazers had this opportunity, Massera was able to get a 2 RBI single off a blooper that went right over Emily Jansen's head. Fantone, I have a feeling, might want to return the favor. Let's see what she can do now. Bases loaded, 2 outs.
That's the second base on balls issued by Samantha Richards. The first one was the first batter of the game, which is this one, Lauren Fantone.
That one just outside. A good attempt there by Lewis to frame it in, but just a tad bit outside.
As unusual as I think it was for us to see Mary Beth Feldman issue 2 base on balls, same thing, 2 walks now by Richards. So maybe some early game jitters for both of these pitchers in a huge game for both teams.
And there's a flare to center. It won't get down in time. A good run by Everson. Spartan Strand, bases loaded. That's an unfortunate trend for the Spartans. It's happened a lot this season, and they still trail 2-0 entering the top of the 3rd inning. The South Regional Final continues after the break.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for. because we want to be champions at the highest level, life.
Really? Well, we're back here at the Namoli Family Stadium. Spartans stranded, bases loaded. Blazers looking to take advantage. Leading off is Pennington, 0 for 1 today after it flew out to center field. First pitch going to be taken ball 1. Spartans struggling with runners on with the 1 and 7 so far, but Valdosta State doing a bit better, 2 for 5, and of course we're able to bring 2 of them home. That one's going to be taken ball 2. So Feldman ready to go, the 2-0. Swing and a miss. Whiff right there for Pennington. Pennington, of course, 14 home runs in the season, 42 RBIs. One of the better hitters for Valdosta State. They'd love to try to keep that offense going. There's going to be a drive that's going to go deep. Keister, can she get it? Yes, at the wall. Nearly runs into it, but we see Keister make a great running play. That one almost looked like it had a chance to go yard. But even on the shortened fence, Keister is able to pick it up and make a good catch. We're going to see the replay right here. That one goes deep, goes far, but Keister turns on the Jets and makes the catch at the wall and gets into it afterwards. But she looks A-OK, which is a great sign as well.
A terrific play defensively by Lily Keister, and so that'll bring up Allie Clegg, the third base player, who's 1 for 1. She singled in the first inning.
So Clegg, of course, the other Valdosta State batter with 14 home runs this season, is able to foul the first one off. And that's the type of play for a pitcher like Feldman. You kind of say, oh, is that going to go yard? But when Keister made the play, Feldman had a little sigh of relief saying, phew. Now with 1 out, ahead in the count now to Clegg, here's the 0-1. That one's a little high. The riser rising even a little too far for Chevalier as it bounces behind. Count now even. That one's going to be flared out to right. Will it land? Russo makes the catch. And Russo, I'd say very underrated defensively this season as the second base player. Has shown some great range and great effort. Notably, one of the plays that she made this season, a diving effort to try to preserve a Feldman perfect game in the 7th inning. It just was a few inches away, but she laid it all out, and she's been able to make similar plays throughout the season, like this one, where she was able to track down that fly ball. That first pitch is taken, a good checkup by Gano. Count goes 1-0.
Feldman seems to be settling in here, which would be a good sign for the Spartans after that shaky first inning.
That's going to be grounded, and this time the hop isn't too bad for Emily Jansen, and she'll retire the side with that play. Valdosta State goes down in order. Feldman settling in, and now up for the Spartans will be Keister, Galhouse, and Miner. We'll be back with more playoff softball. Blazers still lead 2-0.
This is the University of Tampa. UT students travel from across the nation and around the globe to join a dynamic learning community. There are 150 academic programs, continuing studies for non-traditional students, and a highly ranked graduate school. Academic opportunities are extensive and rigorous, but this mid-sized residential campus retains a welcoming feel. With a student-faculty ratio of 16-1, students benefit from direct interaction with expert faculty, a faculty that is passionate about teaching and mentoring. Outside the classroom, UT enjoys a unique environment. Plant Hall, a National Historic Landmark, is surrounded by modern and historic buildings on 105 acres. UT's beautiful downtown Rip.
We are back. Lily Keister leading off for the Spartans. 0 for 1 after a fielder's choice on a sacrifice bunt attempt. Keister hoping to start out the inning strong for the Spartans here. They got a pretty shallow infield, looking for any ground ball.
Keister, we saw with the great defensive play in the top half of this inning, making the catch out in center field and leading things off offensively in the bottom of the third for the Spartans, who trail 2-0. 2 hits for each team so far in the game.
That one fouled away by Keister. Count goes to 1-1.
Alexa Russo and Emily Jansen have the 2 hits for the Spartans. Russo is the number 5 hitter, Jansen the number 7. Keister leading things off here. She's the number 2 hitter, Mariah Galhouse on deck.
Interesting thing, of course, Bruce, you were mentioning eligibility and years. Fantone and Keister technically classified as freshmen, but those are mainly because of the COVID redshirt years given out to players, as these two are Spartan veterans. And they will both be pieces for the outfield for a long time. Very technically good defensively and technically good offensively, too. They're not going to hit for a lot of power, but they are good for contact and getting on base with good speed. Keister now 1-2 count against Richards. Richards now over the 40-pitch plateau, but still keeping the Spartans quiet. Fouled away. Keister stays alive.
Spartans, if you're just joining us, had the bases loaded and were unsuccessful.
1-2 now to Lily Keister.
4 runners left on base already for UT in this game. Valdosta State is stranded 2.
That one fouled off of Keister. Looked like it had a chance to be a short grounder fair, but bounces backwards. Richards so far has been very good throughout the season, but has struggled to retire Tampa quite a bit. Has definitely kept them from scoring so far, but no strikeouts from someone with over 290 this season. Have to wonder if she can get the first one here. She will. First strikeout. As Keister misses that one. And now Galehouse will be up here with 1 out, and the base is empty.
And to use a Taylor Stolworthy expression, that was a commentator's curse, as Richards gets her first K of the game.
And even though the 1.71 ERA she had entering the tournament wasn't the best in the nation, those 281 strikeouts, I'd say, are very much deserving to give her a Pitcher of the Year award. She has been very hard to deal with, and even though the Spartans had a little bit of success, they weren't able to have enough to defeat Valdosta State last time. And so far, Richards still looking strong. Swing and a miss there from Galehouse for strike 1. Just outside, ball 1. Galehouse was out early, hoping to have better luck this time around. And Galehouse also with freshman eligibility, so she could be a part of the Spartans lineup for plenty of years to come. And that is something that I know Coach Leslie Cantor is absolutely going to love, just because of how good Galehouse is.
And same with Mary Beth Feldman, still an underclassman. And so, as you mentioned, Cantor will have the likes of Feldman and Galehouse around for a couple more years still.
Count 1-2 now. That one outside. And a very good comparison for Galehouse is, well, the MLB's Shohei Ohtani, an outfielder who's also a great pitcher and also a great hitter. Whether it's the circle or the box, you can always trust Galehouse to have some success. Went 3 for 4 in the winner-go-home game yesterday. Here's the 2-2. There's going to be a drive to center, but it's playable for the second out as Meadows makes the catch.
Well-struck ball there by Galehouse, but not the result that the Spartans would have liked. So 2 outs now in the bottom of the third as Corinne Miner comes to the plate. And Corinne's been relatively quiet for all intents and purposes these last couple days, and they're looking for her to break out in a Corinne Miner kind of way. 0 for 1 so far in this game, having popped out to first base in the first inning.
First pitch taken outside, and indeed, one thing we were wondering as well with the shorter walls, because we've seen Miner hit with power, can she get a 4th home run of the season? We've already seen Russo do so, and The two have had an RBI arms race. Wonder to see if Minor can try to get level in the home run race as well. There's a drive that's going to go deep. It's got a chance. It won't be far enough, though. Everson makes the play, and the Spartans are down in order. Due up for Valdosta State, Proctor, Macera, and Lewis. They still lead 2-0 as we enter the bottom half of the fourth inning. We'll be back for more NCAA softball.
I pledged.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
So we are back in Nemoli Family Stadium. The Blazers, if this result stands, will punch their ticket to the Super Regional, which will either be held in Alabama or in Georgia, depending on what happens with Auburn-Montgomery. Spartans still have something to say, and on defense here, are ready to go for the top half of the fourth inning. That first pitch taken outside. Proctor last time got on base via walk. Proctor's walk last time, I believe, loaded the bases and allowed Macera, who is on deck, to get a 2-run RBI, which could prove to be very crucial. And now Macera will have a runner on first after a nice base hit, not too far and not too shallow, in just the sweet spot to get a single.
Now Taylor Macera, who already has a 2 RBI single from the first inning, coming to the plate. And we're going to get a pinch runner here for Katie Proctor as Kayla Tassone is going to run at first base.
Tassone ready to go on first. I have to wonder whether she's going to steal or whether they're going to call for a sacrifice bunt. But now a faster runner on first base will be something for the Spartans to keep an eye on. They don't want to go down 3-0. They'd rather keep the deficit like this, entering the bottom half afterwards. Macera drops down a sacrifice bunt. Emily Jansen takes the force out as Russo covers first. One away, runner on second.
That was about the only option there. They were not going to go for the lead runner, take the sure thing. We saw earlier in the game a sacrifice where pitcher Samantha Richards didn't bite on it for Valdosta State and did get the lead runner. And this time the Blazers find themselves with the runner in scoring position. Tassone at second base now.
Ball one to Taylor Lewis. The righty batter 0 for 1 today after flying out to center field. Lewis hoping for more success this time around. That one foul behind. Strike one. So the 1-1 with one out. Feldman ready to fires. Taken just high, the riser. Barely outside his own. Ball two.
Taylor Lewis, a 5'10" junior who also played at Middle Georgia State. And batting here against Mary Beth Feldman for Valdosta State in the top of the fourth.
That one's going to be taken outside, ball 3. And we could see a third walk from Feldman here. And even though Feldman, a little bit more walks and higher walk ratio than her teammate Galehouse, still not very often you see her concede quite a few walks early. And that one is ball 4. Chevalier tried to frame that on the outside corner, but couldn't do it enough. 2 runners are now on with 1 out. And now Everson, who is a speed threat, is ready to go.
And let's see.
Looks like we're going to get a pinch runner again. Yes, we will. as I think the Blazers are going to want to avoid a double play. We see Lewis going back and forth, but now does retire to the dugout for the time being. She'll probably be back in as the catcher afterwards, though. No reason not to. And coming in now is going to be Avery Martin from Kathleen, Georgia. So 2 runners on, but 1 out, meaning if the Spartans are able to field it fast enough, they could get a double play, which we did see them do a couple times against Rollins last time out. 1 out, first pitch to Everson. Ball 1 outside.
Everson really active with the bat there in her stance, and very excited here with the prospect of adding to this 2-0 lead that the Blazers have, especially with only 1 out.
That one, strike 1 on the low corner. And indeed, I think that there's a little bit of nervous excitement because you know getting some more offense here could try to punch your ticket into the Super Regional for a chance to get to the national title games. Both these teams looking to stay alive, of course. Valdosta State does have a game in hand. If they lose this one, they won't be out yet. They'd have the game at 4, but they want to settle this at 1 p.m. They don't want to settle at 4. The Spartans do want to settle at 4. It's dropped by Feldman. Disappointing. She was turning to third to try to get the out there, but as she turns, the ball slips out of the glove. Bases are now loaded with 1 out, and we see Leslie Cantor step out of the dugout. Doesn't look like we're going to make a change yet, but just now giving some words from the dugout. I think some words of encouragement to Feldman.
Well, let's see what the ruling is here, because Everson is being sent back to the batter's box, and Mary Beth Feldman going to dodge a bullet here.
Indeed, it might have.
So it stays with runners on first and second, and Everson still at bat. And a big exhale for Mary Beth Feldman.
Indeed. And now we're going to see Fantone run, tracks it down on a diving catch, gets it to third to make sure that Tusone doesn't move. And I will say Tusone was probably more impressed at the catch than caring about tagging up. What a play there by Lauren Fantone, tracking it down all the way in the dirt to the side of the grass in foul territory to come up with that one. Keister and Fantone playing amazing defense so far, and that one is huge. That gets the second out. We don't know what the initial ruling was before, but that dodged bullet leads to the second out of the inning.
Yeah, that's a huge turn of events for the Spartans, and if they could retire Hunter Meadows here, the number 9 hitter, and get out of this inning, especially since there's 2 runners on base, they really need to build from that momentum.
First pitch taken, swing and a miss. Meadows last time grounded out, hoping to avoid the same fate here. But indeed, Spartans could retire this situation. I know that would be huge for them. It's going to be grounded, Balmer. So just like last time, Meadows grounds out to short, and the inning is over. No runs on 1 hit and 1 walk. Valdosta State still leads, but the Spartans are ready to go. Russo, Chevalier, and Jansen due up. We'll be back for more playoff softball. So we are back for the bottom half of the fourth inning, and just a little bit of clarification on the call earlier. It's just called a batted ball that's a strike. We're still a little bit confused, but one thing that isn't confusing, the Spartans currently losing 2-0. The Blazers currently leading. First pitch, Russo is going to send that one high, but not far enough. That's a routine catch made by Meadows for the first out of the inning. Russo had a single earlier, but this time flies out.
Russo is the number 5 hitter, so we're going to see Chevalier out of the number 6 spot and be followed by Emily Jansen. Chevalier 0 for 1, popped out to first base back in the second inning.
And in Chevalier's pop out, it was a great dive there by the first base player, Aniston Gano. But this time, Chevalier won't be told to bunt it, so we imagine she'll be able to get a slightly better ball in play if possible. That one taken just outside ball 1. Notably today, looking at the umpires, it seems that they're calling a little bit more balls, being a little bit more strict towards getting those pitches inside the zone, benefiting the batters a little bit, forcing Richards and Feldman to work a little harder from the circle. Swing and a miss! Big whiff there by Chevalier, strike 1 now on the count.
Very important inning for the Spartans after they got that swing of momentum defensively in the top of the fourth. And so the pressure on Chevalier and Jansen as there's one away after Russo flied out to center field.
And Richards, one of the best in the nation, a hard pitcher to stop when she gets moving. And obviously you're not going to be able to get her worn out and fatigued, because unlike Ashley Worrell from yesterday's playoff game, she's not going to be running on empty. Richards has a full tank after nearly a full days of rest. That one in the outside corner, strike 2. Count goes 2-2. So an even count, but of course 2 strikes benefiting the pitcher a little bit. See what Richards can do. Fouled away.
This is a case of where we see the pitcher checking the dugout, and that strategy is completely different from, at this point in the season, there's really not a whole lot that a batter with the bases empty can look down at their coach at third base and really get much input from. You really have to learn from all the experience you have and just lean on all the years of softball that you've been playing. Watch the pitch.
A notable thing about experience, Chevalier has quite a bit of experience, even though only listed as a sophomore, has a couple extra seasons thanks to all the COVID redshirting, and that does give a benefit for the Spartans. It means they have a very balanced and experienced roster with quite a little bit of eligibility left. Fantone, Keister, and Galehouse, all freshmen. Chevalier, Bulmer, and Allen, sophomores. Russo's also a freshman. The only players that would probably be leaving, Minor and Jansen, who've also been 2 first-team mainstays for the Spartans. 2-2 count now, Chevalier.
Yeah, it's very misleading, especially if you're an opponent that hasn't seen the Spartans. If you're simply looking at the class listing on the roster, you tell yourself, oh good, this is a young team, and then you don't factor in the COVID redshirting and the fact that someone might be listed as a freshman or listed as a sophomore, but in fact it's not their first or second year. And that's the case, as you mentioned, Taylor, with Chevalier, among others.
2-2 now, Chevalier, and indeed. That's going to be a line drive into center. Gets down. A 1-out single for Lexi Chevalier, and that is an important hit.
And her coach clapping for her over at third base. A well-struck ball by Chevalier, and so now Emily Jansen comes to the plate. Jansen has one of the Spartans, what you could call now 3 hits if you count that Chevalier hit. They only had 2 coming into this inning, and Jansen has one of them. She singled in the second inning.
The 0 to Jansen. Strike 1 down inside. On senior day, we got to see Jansen pitch for a single out at the start of the game. A really fun moment for her and for the team, as the Spartans were also able to secure victory. Here's the 0-1 to Jansen. That one's going to be inside, ball 1. Of course, the Spartans playing in front of the home fans. This will likely be the final time they do so this season, as the Super Regional is likely to be held in Alabama, even if they're able to get the 2 wins and escape losing to Valdosta State here, because they are 1 seed lower. Here's the 1-1. It's going to be lined. Throw to second. Not in time. Chevalier gets there in time. It dropped out of Richards' glove. Richards tried the out at second. but after that, it's not going to work. Good effort from Richards, but not in time.
Even though we saw Richards earlier in the game throw to second on a play similar to that one, it just felt like the quote-unquote easier play was at first, and I was really surprised to not see her try to throw Jansen out at first. And obviously the Spartans aren't going to complain. They now have runners at first and second as Steph Ballmer comes to the plate and only one out. So perhaps that momentum is still fueling UT offensively now. The turn of events that we saw on defense.
Indeed,
Bruce. Top of the fourth.
And yeah, indeed, Bruce. And what notably we've seen the Spartans do is they focus on taking the force out. And in that situation, it's actually a little bit better to sacrifice a runner on second with 2 outs and now have runners in first and second with 1 out. The double play is possible, but that's going to be tricky as Ballmer has a bit of pace. Here's the 0-0 to Ballmer. Strike 1 there. So that last time for Ballmer's at-bat had a throwing error from third base that allowed her to get aboard.
So Ballmer, the number 8 hitter, and we talked earlier about the number 9 hitter, Mackenzie Allen, and the timely hitting that she's brought.
There's a line drive to left. It will get deep, not fully in the gap, but it will bring one Spartan runner home. The Spartans get their first run of the game. Runners on second and third with 1 out.
Tremendous hit by Steph Ballmer. Tremendous hit. And UT really, really turning things up here in the bottom of the fourth. Runners on second and third now. They've cut the deficit in half. And Mackenzie Allen coming to the plate. She walked in the second inning. And as I mentioned, she's really provided some timely hitting here in this postseason over the course of Thursday and yesterday. And hopefully will come through again for the Spartans now. If you're a UT fan, things are getting exciting here.
So you could argue that double from Ballmer, one of the hits of the season. Allen could follow that up with another. Infield is very far in. They want to watch the slap hit. That one in the outside corner, close, but strike 1. But Ballmer and Allen, some clutch hitting, and right there Ballmer does a great job for the Spartans. Runners still in dangerous position with 1 out, and the deficit cut in half. Richards ready, the 0-1. That one is just outside ball 1. It almost felt like that one was a strike and the previous one was a ball. But if those were called differently, the count would still be 1-1.
Well, and Allen is a slap hitter, so the goal here is to slap one that will bounce over the infield that's playing in on her. And enough for a base hit that'll drive in Jansen from third to tie the game.
Fouled away. Allen stays alive, but the count now goes to 1-2. And indeed, Bruce, any ball that's going to be too tough to field can bring Jansen home and get this game equalized. The 1-2. Fouled away. Count stays at 1-2. Allen got on base via walk last time, working along at bat. Similar result would give Fantone with the bases loaded again, as we saw that happen with the Spartans earlier. Checks the wrist and is ready with the 1-2. Fouls that one away. That was a chance to get to the third base line, but dribbles a little bit foul.
And a good job by Allen here to go deep into the count against Samantha Richards. And obviously, the Spartans do not want a double play here. Pressure on Allen nonetheless, though. UT 2 for 9 with runners on, 1 for 3 with runners in scoring position.
Strike 3 on the very outside corner, and that was just on the edge. Richards, I think, saying, thank you, love to see that, and that'll help her out. 2 outs, 2 runners on. Disappointing for Allen, but it still gives a chance for Fantone. Wasn't the worst case scenario, which would have been a double play. Fantone 0 for 1 after a walk in the first inning and fly out in the second. That first pitch taken the outside corner, so it looks like right now we've established a pretty deep outside corner, and we'll have to see when facing a lefty batter if Feldman can also take advantage of it. In the top half of the fifth and later on, Richards so far with some great command to paint that corner like Mona Lisa. 0-1. That one's going to be low.
Fantone, we've seen her be very effective out of the leadoff spot this season, so the Spartans have a lot of confidence in her despite there being 2 outs and still feel good about tying this game up here in the bottom of the fourth, what with the runner on third, not to mention Balmer on second.
1-1. Fantone grounds it to short. It's not going to be fielded cleanly. The Spartans tie it up. Huge play right there. Balmer has to stay at second, but the Spartans have tied it in the bottom of the fourth. Bruce, you were mentioning the Spartans needed some offense. They have found it right here. And the game is tied. 2 runners are on with 2 outs. Only one of them in scoring position. But with Lily Keister up, we know that Keister can get those runners home. We saw her get a game-winning RBI to preserve a perfect game earlier in the season with a line drive in center field.
Well, and when I mentioned that Fantone has been effective out of the leadoff spot, I didn't necessarily expect it to be a fielding error that would result in her getting on base and the Spartans tying it up, but UT will take it any way they can get it. And now the game has a whole new complexion as the Spartans have tied it at 2 and still 2 out in the bottom of the fourth and runners on first and second now.
So that first pitch was taken for ball 1.
Keister hit into a fielder's choice in the first, struck out in the third, and the Spartans now out-hitting the Blazers 4-3, and for Valdosta State, 2 errors, and not what they would have wanted coming into this game where they can lock things up with a victory. Otherwise, they're going to have to face UT again at 4 o'clock.
Here's the 1-1, fouled away by Keister. Now you'd have to imagine for the 4 o'clock game, Valdosta State would have to look deeper into the rotation, as Richards would already be on a large workload. They could go with their ace for that game too. For the Spartans, they can always shift it over to Galehouse for game 2.
Well, if there is a
of
game
course there
two,
is a game 2, we
conventional wisdom would say that they would have to look elsewhere. But when we saw Rollins put Worrell out there after having finished the game an hour earlier yesterday, obviously it's not always what it appears that it can and should be.
So, of course, that is going to be the very big if the Spartans can avoid leaving runners on base. That is the 6th runners they have stranded. So 6 runs ultimately left on base after the strike 3 called, as we see a final strikeout to retire the side. The game is tied 2-2 entering the 5th inning. We'll be back for more playoff softball.
College sports.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal, and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us.
And for college sports.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby.
Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela burns it. An incredible finish by Hall.
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org/opportunity.
And we're back at the Namoli Family Stadium where the Spartans have just scored twice in the bottom of the fourth to tie this game at 2-2. Valdosta State coming up here in the top of the 5th, and they're at the top of the order. And start things off with Morgan Hill, the right fielder, who flew out to center field back in the second after having walked in the first, and facing Mary Beth Feldman.
Well, strike 1 in the zone. And to lead off for the top of the 5th, of course, we've got Morgan Hill. Walked and flew out in her previous at-bats. That one taken outside. Ball 1. Valdosta State and the Spartans keeping level so far. After 2 runs were scored in the first by the Blazers, the Spartans just responded with 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th inning. Swing and a miss there for strike 2 now. 1-2 count to Hill. Fellman ready and fires. There's a fly ball, but that's just going to be more of a pop. Palmer gets under it for the first out of the inning.
And so that'll bring up Nikki Pennington. And Pennington over 2 so far in this game. She is the Blazers' shortstop. Flew out to center in both the first and third innings. And Mary Beth Feldman has walked 3 batters and still looking for her first strikeout of the game.
Despite those 3 walks, Feldman has forced a lot of nicely fielded ground balls and flyouts. And since the first inning, where there was a few hiccups, she has been solid. First pitch taken low, Pennington. 2 flyouts to center field. There's going to be a fly. It's going to go deep right field. Galehouse tracking it back and robs a home run catch at the wall. What a play by Galehouse. That one certainly had the distance to clear the fence, but Galehouse crashes into it and holds onto it. 2 outs, robbing Valdosta State of a lead home run. And heartbreak there, I'd argue, for Pennington. That's a second potential home run ball robbed at the wall, and this time it's Galehouse crashing into it. We're going to have a break for just a second as the wall is put back together, but just how important could that play be?
Tremendous play by Mariah Galehouse, and it shows you how effective she is as a two-way player with the bat from the circle, and in this case defensively as a right fielder, and sacrificing her body, crashing into the fence to make that out for her team and put Valdosta State now 2 outs here in the top of the 5th, and adds to the frustration for the Blazers offensively. It carries over from the top of the 4th.
And I'd argue that's the defensive play of the season for the Spartans, preserving this tie in a winner-go-home game for the Spartans. That one fouled away by Clegg, 1 for 2 so far. Had a single in the first inning and came around to score.
We saw the home run by Alexa Russo last night, and that play there by Galehouse, that's the second instance of where this temporary fence has been a factor, because the Russo hit last night would otherwise not have been a home run, and same thing there. That would have been just continue to backpedal and make the catch without even worrying about a fence.
So I've already seen a little bit more excitement thanks to those fences. 2-1 count out of Clegg. We see that fence now, a little bit of incline after it had gotten knocked over. But again, that was a crazy play. Led to 2 outs in the inning. Here's the 2-1. Inside, strike 2.
Yeah, the umpire down at first base did go out to the outfield and try to fix the fence after Galehouse crashed into it, and I got to believe that at the end of this half inning they may take a second look at it, just make sure that it's secured properly.
And there's going to be a pop fly. Chevalier gets under it and makes the catch to end the inning. Galehouse with a huge home run rob that preserves a 1-2-3 inning for Feldman, and Feldman goes over to thank her teammate again. And normally you see the pitcher getting a lot of love from the circle of teammates, and here even more love being shown to Galehouse. So we'll be back, bottom half of the 5th inning. The game remains tied. An exciting one between the Blazers and the Spartans. Spartans looking to stay alive for 4 p.m. Blazers hoping to punch their ticket early. We'll be back after.
Undergrad and graduate business.
Maria Galehouse leading off for the Spartans, and we just saw her make quite a defensive play in the top half of the inning. Now's a chance to bring some offense in the bottom half. First pitch, and strike one in the outside corner. And indeed on that play, just Pennington would have had a home run there. She's had two really good hits that have gone really deep. Keister made a good play. I'd argue that was close to a rob. That one certainly robbed. That one now. First pitch taken, strike one to Galehouse. That's going to be grounded, and for a base hit. There was a great attempt by Pennington, but just a step behind the ball, couldn't come up with it.
Well, and good for Mariah Galehouse to respond that way, because you make that exciting defensive play, and all of a sudden you have to come up to bat. And if right away she would have gone down as the first out of the inning, it's rather anticlimactic. So instead she comes through again, this time with the bat instead of with the glove, and leads off with a single in the bottom of the fifth. And that brings up Corinne Miner, who's 0 for 2, having popped out to first in the first inning and flew out to left in the third.
So Corinne drops the sacrifice bunt and will get the job done, move up Galehouse. And that will bring up Alexa Russo, who is a single and a flyout. And Russo, you can argue, a hot or cold player. When she's hot, she's unstoppable. When she's cold, she sometimes can slump. But so far, with a 1 for 2 game, you might argue she could be getting warm and would love to get warmer here. Richards dealing with a runner on second, and now Russo at the plate. 1 out. Strike one. Good job framing by Lewis. It looked like it would have been inside regardless, of course. Just on the edge, painting those corners still. Like Pablo Picasso.
And Galehouse, of course, with the unique perspective of being a pitcher, as she's the runner on second base watching Samantha Richards.
That's going to be a line drive. It's fair down the line. Galehouse turns 3 and heads home. The Spartans will take a 3-2 lead. Russo heads to second and is safe. The throw in not in time. And Alexa Russo hit a home run to extend the Spartans' lead last night and does so to give the Spartans a lead right here. 3-2. The first lead the Spartans have had against the Blazers since the first inning of the earlier game between these two sides. They lead 3-2. And what an important hit in the bottom half of the fifth inning. They're going to call time in the field. The fielders, I think, just going to give some words of encouragement for Richards. But Alexa Russo staying alive here. The Spartans don't want to stop right now.
And boy, was Alexa Russo fired up about that RBI double. Just celebrating at second base as though she had won the game for her team, and obviously drives in the go-ahead run. But such terrific enthusiasm for her, and a very exciting turn of events if you're a Spartans fan, as they have come all the way back from what was a 2-0 deficit after they even had their first batter of the game. Valdosta State getting both of their runs in the top of the first, and all of a sudden here we are in the bottom of the fifth, and now it's 3-2 in favor of the Spartans.
Here's a fly ball from Chevalier, should be the second out of the inning, and it is. Russo won't tag up for third, simply stays at second. Indeed, you were mentioning, feels like the game-winning run, certainly far from it. We still have 2 full innings no matter what after this, but that is huge for the Spartans. Puts them back in the driver's seat, a good overtake, but Valdosta State has some DRS zones and 6 more outs to play with. And we know just how strong their bats can be when they are on and running. So with 2 outs now, it's time for Emily Jansen at the plate.
Jansen singled in the second, hit into a fielder's choice in the fourth. And that one not playable, so she'll stay alive here in the bottom of the fifth.
Good effort from Massaro and Gano, though. They went all the way to the wall, but just a couple steps behind it. Still bottom half of the fifth. Spartans with a runner in scoring position and 2 outs. Jansen has a single in the first and a fielder's choice in the fourth. Here's the 0-1 from Richards. Ball 1 a little bit high. Count goes even. Here's now the 1-1 from Richards. That one on the inside of the outside corner, called strike 2. And again, great command from Richards all day. Has a chance to get out of this little jam here to stop the bleeding. 3 strikeouts so far, and 4 2/3. Here's the 1-2. That's going to be popped, but foul off the net.
Jansen staying alive here. The Spartans hitters today have done a good job of taking Richards deep into the count and staying alive. And that's the case here with Jansen in the bottom of the fifth and 2 outs. And her teammate Alexa Russo on second base.
Bulmer also on deck. I know she'd love a chance to bat this inning. We'll have to see if Emily Jansen can keep it alive. 1-2 now from Richards. Fouled away. Just down the third baseline and foul.
I believe that over the course of Thursday, yesterday, and today, the longest at-bat we saw was 16 pitches, I believe.
Yep, and that was from Sarah Young of the Rollins Tars. I don't think that Jansen will be able to bring the at-bat that far, but it's already done a good job staying alive and extending it a little farther here. That one in the outside corner, but just outside, ball 2.
You mentioned before that Jansen is one of the players that UT will lose, and she is very much a veteran. She's showing it with her eye and her patience in this at-bat.
2-2. Jansen pops that one foul into the bullpen. Unplayable despite the 3 chasing players. And indeed, Jansen, a lot of discipline, being able to stay alive, showing the veteran strength that she has. She'll be sorely missed for the Spartans next season, as she also has been solid defensively throughout her entire time. Being a 6-foot first baseman allows you that extra reach for so many plays. And even though she did miss the ball in the first inning, which was really just unfieldable, we've made her made dozens of plays that were only possible because of her extra few inches. That one's going to be in the dirt. Count goes full.
Emily Jansen, what more can you say? Great job to stay alive here. She was behind 1-2, and now it's a full count with 2 outs and a runner on second. The Spartans have taken the lead here in the bottom of the fifth.
The 3-2. Fouled away. Jansen staying alive again. The Tampa fans and bench loving it.
This is usually the way these at-bats go, with several foul balls before there's some resolution.
Have to see if Richards can try to speed up the resolution here, whether it is a good one for Valdosta State or a bad one. Runner on, 2 outs, full count, 3-2. Swing and a miss. That's the 4th strikeout of the game for Richards, and the side is retired. Tampa scores 1 run on 2 hits and lead 3-2 entering the top of the 6th. Due up for Valdosta State, Gano, Proctor, and Macera. We'll be back after this for more playoff softball.
Being a champion takes more than skill, more than endless drills, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the heart to give it your all, the agility to thrive from any angle, and the relentless drive to be the best. Welcome to Division II, where the pursuit is yours to create, and the question isn't, can you do it? It's will you?
I had a dream I could buy my way to heaven.
So we are back. We are still in Game 6 of the South Regional. We've had an exciting winners bracket, an exciting losers bracket, and the regional final is underway. Spartans currently lead 3-2. That one taken outside, ball 1.
And the action is heating up on the field, and the temperature is heated up too. We're now up to 87, and certainly want to stay here and be on the edge of your seat for these final 2 innings, unless it takes even more than that.
Of course, if Tampa is able to win here, they'll force a 4 p.m. game. If Valdosta State comes back from this 1-run deficit, they will end the series early and punch their ticket to the Super Regional. So in a way, there's a little bit less pressure for Valdosta State, but they'd love to get this settled and not have to worry about another 7 innings at 4 p.m. Here's the pitch by Fellman. That one's going to be outside, ball 1. Proctor at the plate. We've seen Proctor get a hit and get on base via walk. So 1 for 1, and wants to continue that on-base streak. The 1-0. That one's just outside, ball 2. But good eye there from Proctor, and good discipline from the 5'10 sophomore from Ringgold, Georgia, and Heritage High School.
Well, and UT not only wants to keep their season alive, but they have revenge on their minds after having lost 5-4 to Valdosta State yesterday.
That one, strike one on the low corner, and with 3 walks, a little bit less good at painting than her counterpart Richard so far, but we do see quite a bit of that from Fellman. Here's the 2-1. There's a line drive, goes foul. That was a well-hit ball that was in front of Fantone and behind both Miner and Balmer. Count will now go to 2-2, though, as it drifts a little too far to the left.
Yeah, Proctor gave that one a nice ride, and it started off looking like it was going to be exciting if you're a Blazers fan, and that ends up foul. Keep Proctor alive.
Swing and a miss. That's the first strikeout of the game for Fellman, and the second out of the inning. And now Macera, who was able to bring home a 2 RBI single earlier, where she was able to get to second on a fielder's choice throw, had a sacrifice as well in the fourth. It's currently 1 for 1.
Macera is the number 6 hitter. She's the second base player for Valdosta State.
2 outs. Here's the 0 to Macera. Fouled away.
Her team now having to play from behind, something that they're not used to. And Mary Beth Feldman rising to the occasion as we've seen her really find her groove, and then, as Taylor mentioned, just recorded her first strikeout.
So after that foul ball, here's the second pitch to Macera, the 0-1. That's going to be a line drive. Keister tracking it down and makes a tough running catch. High fives Gilhouse. The inning's over. Spartans retire. Valdosta State in order. No runs, no hits, and no errors. And up next for the Spartans, Balmer, Allen, and Fantone for the bottom of the 6th. Right after this, playoffs softball continues on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network. The regional final has been an exciting one so far, and the Spartans currently lead 3-2, even though the hometown fans, for Spartans fans, will be happy. There are quite a few Valdosta State fans that have made the trek to Tampa, and they're going to be hoping that their Blazers can make a comeback. We see a little bit of action in the Valdosta State bullpen. First pitch is going to be ball 1 now. Stephanie Balmer, who had an RBI double in the 4th inning. The Spartans' offense has come from the 4th and 5th innings. It's going 2 in the 4th and 1 in the 5th. That one's going to be on the outside corner, but outside ball 2. So far, Richards, 4 strikeouts and 2 walks. That's a very good 2 strikeout to walk ratio. And here's the 2-0 now to Balmer. That one's strike 1 down the middle.
Steph Balmer from right here in Tampa, not too far from where she played her high school ball, over at Steinbrenner. And another one, Taylor, it's classified as a sophomore, but you should really just put asterisks next to everybody because of the COVID redshirt situation.
It does feel that way. Here's a fly ball to the outfield, diving catch, and holds onto it. Hill makes the play, and that'll be the first out of the inning. And as we've seen, plays from Keister, Galehouse, and Fantone for the Spartans. We've also seen Hill for the Blazers make some huge plays. And we're going to see the replay right here. Runs, tracks it down, and makes a diving catch. We've seen some diving catches by Leah Johnson from some of the eliminated schools, but unlike Johnson, Hill able to hold on to it. That first pitch is going to be taken as the bunt misses, strike one.
Fantastic job by Morgan Hill to squeeze the glove, too, because the impact with the ground could have very easily caused her to lose that one. Nice job by her to hold on to it.
So now that diving catch leads to one out for Mackenzie Allen. Fouled away. That had a chance to get down. Allen has a walk and struck out looking last time.
Mackenzie Allen played in 33 of the Spartans' 49 games this season.
Checks the wrist. Here's now the 0-2 to Allen. That's going to be grounded, and the throw to first is clean. That'll be the second out of the inning. Richards still very focused and doing really well. She's actually had a majority of her strikeouts later in the game rather than early on. Now has 2 outs at the top of the order. Back up for the Spartans. Fantone 0 for 2 with an RBI off an error alongside a walk and flyout.
As routine as those groundouts look like they should be, we've seen our fair share of errors over the course of Thursday and yesterday, and even Valdosta State with 2 so far in this game, so have to kind of hold your breath on some of those, as routine as they seem like they should be.
And it's been a trend all season. The Tampa dirt has been tough for some teams to handle, and Blazers had struggled a little bit so far with it. Here's the 0-1 to Fantone. There's going to be a pop-up. Will it get down in time? No, as Pennington makes it look very easy. Spartans go down in order. Top of the 7th, ready to go. Last chance saloon open for Valdosta State as they hope to keep this game alive and not have to worry about a 4 p.m. game. Softball returns after this on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
We are back in the Moley Family Stadium. Spartans leading in the top half of the 7th inning. They're able to close this inning out and maintain the lead. We will have a game at 4 p.m. It's up to Valdosta State to try to get back into it. Leading off now, Taylor Lewis. So far, Lewis has a walk and fly out.
Yeah, these are the 7, 8, and 9 hitters for Valdosta State in the top of the 7th. And as you mentioned, Taylor, we are either 3 outs away from the end of this game, or the Spartans will have to come back up to bat in the bottom of the 7th if they want to try to get to a 4 o'clock rematch with the Blazers.
Good attempt to frame it there by Chevalier, but not able to. That one taken for ball 2. And indeed, 3 outs to go. Here's Feldman with the 2-0. Lewis gets under that. That one's got a chance. It's going deep. At the wall. Makes a catch at the wall. And that is a 3rd ball that could have exited the yard for Valdosta State. This time, you don't need to run into the wall. Fantone just able to get it as it's right there for the 1st out. And honestly, I think Spartans fans' hearts had stopped for a moment as they saw that one go deep. It was very well hit, but just a little bit too shallow. The game stays with a 1-run deficit for the Blazers, and now there's 1 out, top of the 7th.
And if the hearts of the Spartans fans stopped, I think the hearts of the Blazers fans raced, hoping that that one was going to carry over the temporary fence. But not the case, as now it's Everson and that unique stance that she has, keeping the bat very active.
So Everson gets ahead now on the count 2-0. Great eye so far. And indeed, watch that get active. Squares up for a bunt, strike one as it goes into the zone and misses. A little good breaking action there. Of course, Everson 0 for 2 today, but does have a little platoon advantage over Feldman as a lefty batter. On deck, Hunter Meadows. That one's going to be ball 3, just outside. So 1 out, and Everson has a very friendly count. Feldman ready to go, 3-1. Ball 4. Everson is able to draw a walk, and now a dangerous base runner, as we saw Everson come on as a pinch runner in one of the previous games, is resting at first as the tying run, a potential go-ahead run now at the plate, but Meadows grounded out to shortstop both times.
Yeah, here again, a swing of emotions. If you're a Blazers fan, you're excited because the tying run is on first. If you're a Spartans fan, you're going double play.
It's going to go to Fantone. Fantone gets the out. Everson back to first. 1 out away. Feldman hoping to secure another win for the Spartans. And there are 2 outs now.
And Taylor, if the last 2 days have taught us nothing, it's that just because they're 1 out away does not by any stretch of the imagination mean that this game is about to end. We have seen anything and everything, and it has proven that anything can happen.
Indeed, I think this last out will be the hardest one for the Spartans all afternoon. That one, strike 1 at the low corner. Hill so far is a walk and 2 flyouts, one of them being a pop out to short. Down 0-1 to Feldman in the count. Feldman, ready, and fires. Fouled away off the bat. The count's going to go 0-2.
Tell you what, that was a rare instance of Marybeth Feldman shaking off whatever Lexi Chevalier called first, and then finally agreed with her next call through that pitch, and then you saw Hill foul it off, and behind now 0-2 with 2 outs.
So the 0-2, Feldman ready to go to Hill, just outside, ball 1. Bill didn't go for that chase pitch. And we also saw Everson get back to first. She's been taking some little leads. Wonder if she's going to try to gun for second. Would be risky with 2 outs. 1-2. Fouled away. Hill keeping the game alive with that swing. Spartans fans and Blazers fans at the edge of their seat. This is a very important pitch coming up, the 1-2. Now to Hill. That is high, ball 2.
Keep in mind that on deck for Valdosta State is the dangerous Nikki Pennington, so certainly the Blazers fans, for multiple reasons, would love to see Hill find a way to get aboard here.
Just to keep the inning alive, because Pennington, I'd say, is arguably due for a hit. Swing and a miss! We will see you at 4 p.m. The Spartans escape death here. A 3-2 victory. But Valdosta State isn't done yet. They have a chance to fight. It is the true Game 7 of the regional. Win or go home is the mantra. We will see you at roughly 4 o'clock. The Blazers and the Spartans will do once more. They've traded the series so far. Who will go on to the Super Regional? We'll find out afterwards. I'm Taylor Storthy, alongside the great Bruce Wozniak. Thank you for tuning in at Namoli Family Stadium. We still have one more game to play. We'll be back later.